Hello and welcome to Luke Blues Talking. I'm Lawrence Nelson and I'm joined by Brian Martin and Cameron Ritchie. Well, it won't surprise you to know that in this edition we'll be looking back on Saturday's 1-1 draw against local rivals Queen of the South. We'll also be looking ahead to Saturday's visit to the capital to face Edinburgh City at Meadowbank. And we are also going to be joined by sponsors of Brian Martin and myself, Bully Zero. They will be joining us. It'll be Janet Grima and Ben Allen. They'll be joining us live from Melbourne at 6 a.m. Australian time. Cameron, you like a good stat. We didn't quite get to keep Queen of the South on the mantelpiece at the weekend. But hey, we've now got an unbeaten run of 4 years and 3 months against them. Can't be bad.
I think that's definitely the way to look at it. I think managers over close seasons might start doing that. We're unbeaten in 12 weeks. I don't know what you're talking about. In terms of the game, I thought we more than matched them. Blue tinted specs on, yeah, probably felt Stranraer should have won, but I certainly don't think that we'd absolutely battered them or anything like that. And I think if the goal had come at kind of 20 minutes earlier, you probably wouldn't have begrudged it quite so much. But obviously, it's always a sickener when it comes so late on.
I've got to push back on you right away. You don't think we absolutely battled them, but according to Peter Murphy, we pulled, pushed, stood on toes, fought and scrapped them. So, Cameron, you were there. I take it we didn't play much football at all.
If we did do all those things, we must have done it very cutely. Um, I think it's up to the referee to pull players up for that. So
Yeah, yeah.
no issues with that.
Brian, let's come to you. I'm guessing you were the same as the rest of us, happy enough with the result, very happy with the performance. A bit hacked off at losing the goal in the 89th minute, but come back to the start of Saturday afternoon. What did you make of the team changes? So the manager made three changes, bringing in, sorry, five changes, I beg your pardon, bringing in Jordan Stewart, Finn Ekrapont, Sallu Turay, Aaron Quigg, and Ryan Edgar. What did you make of that, Brian?
Hi, good evening, Lawrence. Now, before I start, I've got another apology to make.
Oh no.
I said last week that the top eight were seeded in the KDM Cup. It's actually the top six.
Yeah.
I get quickly told in a text and the Thursday morning, no, it's top six, no top eight. So I'll clear that up right away. As for the game, Lawrence, I thought we were great. The changes, yeah, I didn't mind the change at all. As I said last week, I would play Quigg and Stewart in the middle of the spine of that team. I would play them every week.
Yeah.
And of course, you get Rough and Reed at the back. So yeah, I didn't mind the changes. A lot of people were calling for Ekrapont to play. He played and he played great.
Yep.
Of course, Cap McKnight was an enforced change because we had no right back. Matty Gillis is cup tied, and the other two right backs are injured. So that wasn't a surprise. I think due to a training type incident, well, not an incident, but I don't think Darren trained on Thursday night, so he was left out, and Ryan had come in. So the changes were absolutely fine, and they worked a treat. You know, I think it was a 4-1-3-2, and it worked really well.
Cameron, I've been on record the last few weeks at saying I'd like to see Ryan Edgar and Sal playing up front together. But I think the wider point, the five changes we've talked about, all to a greater or lesser extent, made an impact on Saturday.
Yeah, obviously it's exactly what the manager would be wanting. As much as it then gives him a decision for Saturday, I'm sure he would rather have that choice in terms of having kind of what 15, 16, 17, 18 players that he thinks could do a job rather than he's looking at it going, all right, well, who am I going to put in?
Yeah.
Yeah, same as Brian. I thought everybody that came in and those that were already in the team, I thought it was a really good team performance and a bit of a cliche, but one of those occasions where whoever got man of the match, I don't think there would have been any real complaints from anyone. I don't think you would have been sitting there going, how's he got it? I think just a really, really good team performance and one that, as I say, probably just about merited all 3 points.
Mhm. Brian, let's come back to some of the action during the game. The first half, no goals, probably some of the talking points, the free kick even that Matty Douglas won outside the box. Referees decided that Jordan Stewart had fouled him. You were quite adamant in commentary that it wasn't a foul. Any difference in your opinion, having watched it back now?
It probably was a foul, but it was very soft foul. I mean, I think Jordan, he did try to get Matty Douglas by the I think it was by the legs or something. I think I probably was it was a foul, but I thought it was very soft. But the ref seen it fit to get.
And a good old-fashioned Cameron, a good old-fashioned stramash ensued. I actually thought the ball had crossed the line. It quite clearly hadn't, and I think just Queens and their keenness to get a shot in, and they're entitled to do that. That gave us the free kick, but I guess Josh Lane stood firm there early on.
Yeah, they must be horrible free kicks for a goalkeeper to deal with because you've got to brace yourself for the possibility that nobody gets a touch. But equally, the slightest touch, and it's at such close range that it could be it could be past you, sorry, before you've even really had a chance to react. So fair play to Josh because it was a good save.
Ryan Edgar went through at one point, and I don't think, to be fair, we were shouting that he was definitely onside, but Brian and I were both saying we wanted another look at that. And I think probably Cameron, having looked at it again, he probably was. It might have been inches, but he probably had just veered slightly offside at that point.
It was very close. Spoke to Ryan after the game, and he had said that fair dues obviously didn't put the ball in the net, but he said he'd had a wee look across at that point. And he saw that the flag was already up. As I say, it looked very, very close. If the assistant's got that one correct, then absolutely fair play.
Yeah, yeah. And the assistant, as we quite often begrudgingly admit, the assistant is generally a wee bit nearer than we are sitting up at the top of the stand. Brian, Sallu Turay's penalty claim, what did you make of that, having watched it back?
Yeah, I'm not being away for that in Lawrence. That was to me that was a stick on penalty. What I mean, and I think the boy should have been sent off. I think he'd already been booked, but it could have been deemed as a goal scoring opportunity. But he definitely fouled Toure, and if that's outside the box, we get a foul. But the ref's seeing it this way, nah, it's not a foul. I think it was a certain penalty. I'm not going off the fence with that one. I'll say that was definitely a penalty, and the boy should be sent off.
Cameron, same incident.
I think it was silly of the defender to put himself in that position where he could have been sent off. I would have liked to have seen it given. I'll say that much. I'm not quite so certain it's as stick on as Brian says.
Yeah.
As I say, I hate to say it when people say, "Oh, you've seen them given." That doesn't make it the right decision. We've seen plenty
Yeah.
of wrong decisions. As I say, I think it was fortunate on the defender's part that a penalty wasn't given against him. And as mentioned, he was on a yellow. It could have worked out a lot worse for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Am I sitting on the fence? I don't know. Having looked at it several times, I'm veering towards I think somebody touched him when he went down, but I can't actually, looking at it again and again, I can't actually convince myself that I'm seeing that in the video. So I don't know. It was a strong shout which the referee, I guess, bravely had none of and waved away. Brian, one other thing that happened in that first half, what was that man up the approach end doing with the pink lollipop that you commented about? Did you ever suss
Yeah,
out what on earth it was?
It's a guy in that Queen's End with a lollipop stick. You see it, Lawrence? A big
Yeah,
pink lollipop.
let's just hope we lick them, Brian.
I was going to start singing "My Boy Lollipop," Lawrence, because I could have told the story. I was a member of Millie's fan club in the '60s. I think there's only guy in Wigtonshire that was a member of our fan club.
Claim to
I think
fame.
she's a one-hit wonder, by the way. Probably it's the middle '60s. So I wrote away, and I think it cost me 2 bob to join our fan club. And you've got a signed photograph of it. I was absolutely chuffed. But I don't know. I don't know what he was up to. I just noticed this pink lollipop in the away end.
I mean, you're before Cameron's time. You're before my time. Was
Oh
that
yeah.
was this Millie a bit of a looker? What was your
Well,
thinking there?
no, she was just a wee gal that released a song
Oh,
called "My Boy Lollipop,"
all right.
and it
So
went to
young,
number
very
one. I
young
think
lady.
number
Yeah,
one. Of course, I'm
yeah.
talking about middle '60s, Lawrence. I was just a boy myself, I wasn't that old, but I should have started singing it.
Oh God. Cameron, staying at that end of the park where we're talking about Sal's penalty claim, Matty Douglas was waving his arms about second half just as Queens hit the crossbar. What did you make of his claim?
No, not for me. I think there's always going to be contact in the box between players, and that's to be expected. I just think he goes down too easily, to be honest. Lewis Reed's obviously close to him, as you would expect. But yeah, for me, it goes down too easily. I wouldn't have been awarding a penalty on that one.
It was one of these ones that some of the Queens fans online on Sunday were saying we should have had a penalty start the second half. And I actually had to go back to see what incident they're talking about because when I saw him going down, I thought that's the one. But after the game, it didn't even register as a realistic claim from my point of view. I guess, Brian, I was more concerned by the fact that, like we had done in the first half, Queens had hit the woodwork.
Yeah, we were watching that incident, and as you say, Lawrence, I watched the Matty Douglas incident back, and I mean that would have been the softest penalties. Would have got a penalty for that. You see that every week. And there's never a thing given. So no, not for me, no penalty.
Right, Brian, talk us through Sal's goal. As somebody who has got a healthy or unhealthy scepticism of this passing out from the back, I have to say I enjoyed that. What did you make of the goal?
Absolutely, Lawrence. I don't think Ross Stewart has learnt from the previous game with Queen of the South.
Yeah.
He must have clocked that Sallu Turay's got fantastic pace because he brought him down for the sending off the last time he was at Stair Park in July, and Sal just seen tippy tapping the ball, and Sal said, right, I'm in there, and his pace just brought him and got him the goal. Really crazy stuff. I said it in commentary, Lawrence. I don't know this passing out for the back. I know it works sometimes, but it's so crazy at times. I mean, if teams press, you've seen East Kilbride lately in League Two, passing it a bit at the back and getting punished for it. And Ross Stewart just doing the same on Saturday, get absolutely punished. And with Sal Turay's pace, you just cannot afford to do that.
And Cameron, one thing I enjoyed watching back was that it was almost as if Ross Stewart's immediate reaction was to wave and point as to whose fault it was, and then there was almost like a second where it was like, I can't complain.
I appreciate passing it out for the back. That the theory is going to be that if you thump it up the middle of the park, say you've got a 50-50 chance of winning the header, you might lose possession. Whereas if you're passing it out, the theory would be you keep possession. But obviously, if you're losing the ball at the halfway line, you're 40-50 yards from goal.
Yeah.
If you're losing the ball 20-25 yards or even closer to the goal, then obviously you could be in more trouble. I think, like anything, that when it comes to that, and in any other tactic, it's got to be that you mix it up to some degree. Because otherwise, if you're trying to pass it out from the back, either A, teams stand right off you and go, that's fine, you pass it 20 yards from your own goal, that's all right. Or equally, they push up on top of you and you run the risk of losing the ball. I think that, again, the theory would be that if you push up on top of them, they can then basically chip the ball over your attack and there's space in the midfield. Mm-hmm. But like anything, if it doesn't come off, then you've got the potential to look silly. As I say, I just think that continually doing that, unless you're very, very good, is just going to bring about, at the very, very best from your defensive point of view, you're going to give away chances, if not goals. Yeah,
I was going to say, when Brian said it works, and you've said it works in theory, it works for somebody like Barcelona. So, and I'm not having a go and saying it doesn't work at League Two. It obviously doesn't work at League One either, from what we saw on Saturday. At this point, let's just hear from Sal. I caught up with him after the game. Sal, 1-0 against Queen of the South. I was going to be harsh and say, how did we not manage to win that game? But I can see you're feeling that anyway. But take us back a bit. I mean, that's another outstanding performance against a League One side. And you ran from start to finish. So what were your thoughts on the game?
No, 100%. I thought we were the better team. Honestly, the full game. I thought we played well from the front to the back. I thought Josh was excellent. Josh didn't have much to do. I thought Quiggy, I thought Jamesy, I thought Jodo, I thought everybody. I could name everybody in the team. Yeah. I thought everybody was excellent. And obviously to concede the goal in the last minute's obviously gutting, but it's another positive outcome. as obviously we're a much better team, I thought, 100%. So obviously 2 big ones. We've got Edinburgh City and Glenafton in the Scottish Cup, so they're big ones. I'll focus on that now.
You're involved in a couple of big calls in the game. Take us back to the first half and the penalty claim. What were your thoughts on that?
No, so I've run across him and I've just felt his 2 hands push me in the back. So obviously I thought it was a penalty, but obviously I'm down, holding my knee. It was a wee bit sore, but I didn't think it was a penalty, to be honest. Yeah, 100%.
And what happened? Did the keeper come out and fall over you?
It was because he pushed me. He pushed me, and then I fell into the keeper, and then he's hit his knee. So,
so it's 100% penalty. Then the next bit. So more success second half. I'll be honest. By the time I looked up, you were already on the goalkeeper. So tell me what happened. What did you spot?
No, I know of him, and I know that he there's a few times where he's took out his feet and he's like hesitated a wee bit.
Yeah.
So I knew, I was like, wait, I can catch him here.
Yeah.
And then obviously I've got him, and they all counted the same. I'm obviously gutted to get another goal. Obviously I've not been playing as much as I want to be, but the gaffer obviously knows best. But I'm obviously buzzing to get a goal, of course.
I was comparing you with Lyndon Dykes when you were talking about there that a couple of occasions where the goalkeeper just got things wrong and a quick thinking striker.
Aye.
He snapped into it.
Aye, 100%. I feel like they're the best kind of goals. Them, the tap-ins, I love the kind of goals.
Yeah.
As a striker, yeah.
And you ran from start to finish. I'm guessing just the smile on your face. Yeah, we lost a late goal, but I'm thinking you enjoyed that one.
No, yeah, of course, enjoyed it. It's just the fact that it was a very, very good team performance. I thought we looked the better team by far. That was the only thing. And obviously to lose the last minute goal was obviously gutting, but it's positive. I feel like it was positive all over the pitch, and obviously all focusing next week and with Fez, the gaffer, Ginge, but aye.
But there's a couple of things going on here. So Edinburgh City are obviously going to be determined to come up against us because we're the team just above them, so it's going to be a tough one. But I think looking at it from a Stranraer point of view, that's another great performance against a team from a higher league. It's almost like the fans are asking, what does it need for you guys to actually believe what strength you do have?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like from start to finish, even the bench, even the boys that are injured coming back, still Dunny, we've still got Shuggy, still quite a lot of players to come back as well. So it's a very, very, very strong team, and there's a great management team in the back with a gaffer, with Ginge, and we believe in them and they believe in us. So every day training, Thursday, Tuesday, we're working hard. So all focus on that, and obviously we owe them a bit of payback, obviously coming up here and beating us, and we really want to win that one.
And I'm thinking from your point of view, you feel you've now made a case for getting a starting berth next week?
Yep, 100%. That's what the gaffer told me as soon as I got my start today. Just Sal, go and do what you've done. You've been doing well in training. Just go do what you do. I know you can do it. So, and obviously I've done well today. So got a goal. So hopefully, and put my name for the starting 11.
Brilliant, well done. I'm really looking forward to seeing that goal back to right in the highlights.
Me too.
Thanks.
Me too. Yes, thank you.
There we have scorer of Saturday's goal, Sallu Turay. He was obviously then involved later in the half, Brian, when Kai Kennedy had a wee swipe, mistimed, definitely. You and I were pushing for a red card, I guess, in commentary. I don't know if you've changed your view having watched it a few times.
Well, I think if it's a wee bit higher, it's definitely a red card. But I think that was a reckless. I mean, I think you get sent off for being reckless. Does that come under reckless? I don't know. You know what I mean? And it was cynical. I think they should add maybe cynical to the sending off order because it was very cynical. And I'm quite sure if Kai Kennedy's going down the left wing and Cap McKnight has a go at me like that, the Queen's fans are saying, well, actually, I seen one in internationals. I think it was Monday night, and it went to VAR. Actually, that same type of tackle. I thought it's same thing as Kai Kennedy done on Sal, and I thought that's the same type of thing. But I maybe on reflection, it's maybe not a sending off, but he's came very, very close to a red card, I must admit.
I'm just thinking if we had VAR and we had the Romanian referee that Scotland had on Sunday night, God knows how long would have been added on for the referee repeatedly get called over to try and correct things that he appeared to have got wrong. Cameron, you were saying in one of our chats that you didn't think it was a red.
No, I think it's very much deliberate, and I think he knows exactly what he's doing. But as Brian kind of highlighted, I don't think it was high enough up the leg, I guess, for it to be a red. it's probably one of those to drift into cliche territory where it's an amber card, as it were. That yeah, it's an absolute stonewall yellow. And again, some referees might have said, right, yellow and absolutely no more. Basically, one more tackle, you're 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 running the risk of being sent off, basically. But no, I don't think it was a red for me.
Couple of observations. Lewis Reed, I asked him on Saturday after the game what he made of it, and he said he thought it was a yellow. He didn't think it was a red. Looking at Kai Kennedy's face after the yellow, I think he looked as if he was a bit relieved and thought he'd get out of jail a little bit. And I'm also interested because you'd said in a comment, Cameron, that at no point was Kennedy out of control. But there's a bit of that in my mind thinking, well, if he was in control and he knew what he was about, somehow that I feel as if that makes it worse a wee bit. It was deliberate almost.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's not he's not thrown himself into the tackle. He's not got kind of both feet off the ground. He's not two-footed. All kind of counts in his favour. It is one where, as you say, it's stopping a promising attack. So it's a yellow card. But yeah, for me, I don't think it's any worse than that.
Brian, one thing I would say, because we were apt to be a bit critical of the ref just for a change, on Saturday. Actually, one positive you could say was that the referee actually took his time over it, consulted the linesman, and kind of let it cool down a little bit. Probably not a bad call.
I don't know whether he was consulting the linesman, but after the handbags that went on after the incident, the Stranraer players were pretty angry about it. I think it was Quiggy come across and pushed one of the. Was it Kennedy who pushed?
Kennedy.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Kennedy.
Yeah, so he was quite upset about it, and a lot of that's then the stramash started with the players, and I think maybe the ref was asking the line out, what happened there. But I think you're right enough. I think that the ref did take his time, and thought about it and said, okay, yellow's fair enough, and he issued a yellow. So we move on. Fair enough. He gave a yellow, and we move on.
It just also felt to me, though, that Aaron Quigg got a yellow for pushing and Ross Lyon presumably got a yellow for something similar. He was heavily involved in the stramash. But as so often, I'm with Cameron on the sort of amberish tendency that it felt as if the two guys who were jumping in get every bit as much a punishment as the guy who swung at the tackle. I don't know if that's right, wrong, or whatever. You can make up your own mind about that, I guess. Cameron, one other thing that struck me from the highlights, so Queen's obviously, Liam Smith came off the bench. I think I said that Liam Smith and Kai Kennedy had both caused us problems in the previous game at Stair Park, and so it's no surprise really that Smith takes a bit of watching. Josh Lane did really, really well to block the first attempt. A couple of things I thought was that Smith actually did really, really well to twist round and put the ball back into the net, but actually looking at the angle of the camera that George has behind the goal, Josh Lane was not far away from actually saving it a second time. He got it up almost to the crossbar, but just inside and fell back in. So he was really, really unlucky.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of players that, if they were in Liam Smith's shoes, would have basically swung at it, sliced it high and wide. So fair play to him for controlling the finish. And as you say, fair play to Josh as well, because he makes the initial save and he's obviously quick enough to kind of just about get back in position, and he's desperately unlucky that he doesn't push that up, as you say, onto the bar, and then who knows what happens after that. But yeah, as I said at the start, the timing of the goal as much as anything is the real kind of sucker punch, I guess.
Yeah. Brian, you had the task of picking a man of the match. There's obviously a man of the match that's chosen by hospitality at the EcoGen, and then there's the one we do in comms. You went for Jordan Stewart, but I think I said to you at the time, you've got a bit of job in your hands. Saturday there was a string of players that you could have given that award to.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic performance, as I said, by all the players, Lawrence. We just very, very hard to pick out one, but Jordan Stewart, I thought, was fantastic in front of that back four. He mopped up everything, first half especially. In the second half, we were probably, I thought we were well on top in the second half at times, and Jordan didn't do as much work, but I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And I think, something that was through at TIFF during the summer, I signing too many West of Scotland players, this, that. Nothing can be further for the truth. I don't think when you look at the players who are performing for him, and a lot of people tell us Ronan Hughes, who's still to come in, is the best of the lot. So I mean, we've got him to look forward to. But I mean, I think his signing policy, it just shows you there's not a lot of difference between those divisions and League Two, because I mean, Jordan Stewart, as I said in Saturday, Lawrence, you'd have thought he'd have played in League Two all his life. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic. And the same can be said for, well, Cole has played in these leagues. Danny McManus has played well lately, and Scott Ruff has been done great as well. So it just shows you, I mean, there's not a lot of difference, between those leagues and League Two, and it just shows you can find some gems, if you know the player.
What about that, Cameron? Because I don't really want to go over old ground again, and we all know that we've been struggling to get points in the league. But actually, I'd agree with Brian. Whatever the problem is or whatever the problems are, I don't think it's been the signing policy. Actually, still, I'm adamant that I think we've got a far stronger squad this season than we had last season and the season before. So I don't think that signing policy is the issue, basically.
I think to flip it on its head, how many players have we signed from higher up leagues that it's not worked out?
Yeah.
Like, just because you're signing somebody from the Premiership for the Championship, League One, it's not an automatic guarantee that they're going to come in and be an absolute star. Similarly, there'll be players for whatever reason, whether it's geography, whether it's, I don't know, anything else, that are playing at a lower level, that are now ready to make that step up. As you as you say, a lot of the players that have come in during the summer, if you came along to a game as a neutral and asked them pick out the players that were playing two divisions below, I don't think they would be able to. And I think that's the big thing. At the end of the day, it's all about getting the right players in. And obviously, we've said before that Chris, Martin, Fellas, Stevie have all managed or coached in the West of Scotland League or in the Lowland League, and therefore they had time to study the players. We had heard about Jordan Stewart and Scott Ruff well before the summer, so it wasn't as if we kind of got towards the end of the close season and thought, oh, we need to sign some players. Let's just get anyone in. There was clearly a bit of homework had been done, a bit of scouting, a bit of kind of familiarising themselves with the players, both in terms of how they would perform on the pitch and also in terms of how they fit into the group as well. So, yeah, I understand people kind of saying, oh, they've signed them from two tiers below. But as I've just said, I don't think that Tiff just went out and picked up any player that he could find.
Harsh as it is, you're talking about we've signed players from higher divisions before and it's not worked out. I go back to 2005, 2006, Stranraer in the Championship, as it's called now. And we were getting excited because we brought in a number of players. We brought in Lee Hines, who had previously been in Aberdeen. And Brian, you'll remember Stuart Miller saying Hines 57 varieties, and we had to get that in.
That's right. That was one of Stuart's famous sayings. Yeah.
Brian, intrigued to see. Well, what I will say is there anything else you want to add about Saturday's game before we move on?
I think Queen of the South have now started a book of excuses, Lawrence. Long grass. We fielded a young team. I was looking at the stats. Stranraer were actually a younger team than Queen of the South. Our back line had an average age of 21. Our two forwards were kids, 18 and 20. I could get right through the team. We had a very young team, and as I say, we're younger than Queen, so that doesn't hold up for me. And I just think, because they come from Freeze, I'm not saying this, I don't think Queen's a great side, actually, to tell you the truth. I've got to put my cards on the table. I don't think they're a great side at all.
I noticed you encouraging Peterhead to get stuck into them this weekend. I saw you online talking to the boys for the Bluetoon podcast. Cameron, it's what we've said before, that you stick a microphone in front of somebody after the game and they've got a result that they either love or they're not happy with. But yeah, I had a wee wry smile. Grass was mentioned within the first sentence of the Queen's manager's interview. And as I said before, Stranraer were pulling, pushing, standing on toes, fighting, scrapping. It's not that often, Cameron, we get accused of being physical.
I don't necessarily see those as negative qualities either.
No.
I would much prefer that than the team stands off, doesn't get near to a player, doesn't put a tackle in all day. I would much prefer that you at least know they're committed to the cause, and I think that's definitely the case. I think the one thing that we now need to do is we need that performance level going into the league
Yeah.
because, to be honest, too often this season we've come away from cup games, we've sat here and said that was a really good performance, that was a really good result, and then the following week we've been sitting here going, well, we were unlucky, and I don't want to be saying we were unlucky. In fact, I'd much rather say the opposite and say we were rotten, but we were lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to now kick on and show that we're not just a cup team and show that we can get results, basically. Never mind performances. Performances would be great as well, but results in the league, because that's the only way that we're going to move up the table.
Absolutely. Let's just also get on record before we move on that we have secured progression to the next round of the Challenge Cup with one game to spare. So we just need to wait and see. We've got St Mirren B at home. Not taking anything for granted, but we just need to wait and see if we can get more points from that one and where we end up in the table. As Brian Martin said earlier on, top six would be ideal.
Yeah.
Or most ideal. Can you be most ideal? I don't know.
I think the two teams above us, Lawrence, well, two of the teams above us, East Fife and Edinburgh, they play each other.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So that should be good. Plus, Dumbarton plays Stennismuir, who are also above us, Dumbarton above us. But Stenny are unbeaten in the competition. So you'd think, right, we want to go through this unbeaten. So, I think we've got a great chance. If we beat St Mirren,
Got to win. We've got to win our game and see
we've
what
got a great
happens.
chance to be in the top six.
Well, we're delighted to be joined on Look Blues Talking by Janet Grima, who's the CEO of Bully Zero. Beside Janet is Ben Allen, Stranraer fan. And Janet, welcome. The reason we've invited you on is because Bully Zero sponsor Brian Martin and myself, so people watching our football highlights have probably seen the logo coming up at the bottom, sponsored by Bully Zero. So first of all, thank you very, very much for that. It's very kind of you to do that. Janet, Bully Zero, as the name suggests, I've scribbled down something which I have absolutely stolen off your website. So Bully Zero is Australia's leading organisation delivering face-to-face programmes on cyber safety, bullying prevention, well-being and resilience. So I guess, first of all, that's the sort of headline. Tell us a little bit about Bully Zero and about the good work that you guys do.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me. I think, our work is so critically important right now when we've got, a global pandemic when it comes to bullying, whether it be face to face, especially online. So our work, we've been delivering bullying prevention programs across Australia and a little bit globally as well for about 13 years now. So we go out to schools and we deliver a series of about 12 different presentations that we have that help young people understand how to navigate the world of bullying. So it gives them some tips and some strategies to help them understand what they can be faced with online, how to be resilient, how to be kind. Those are kind of the key messages that we, expel to our audience.
It's a lovely message, and of course, it's sad that it's a necessity. Is it, I'm kind of getting, you're talking about schools, is it primarily geared at a young audience, or do you find it wider than that?
Wider than that. It's
Really?
a mixture. I think with the younger kids, it's all about reinforcing the kindness message
Yeah.
because they're not really exposed to bullying behaviors, especially those online. With older younger people, it is about that behavior online
Yeah.
that we really try to mitigate. We even do some work with workplaces, lots of work with sporting clubs as well, where we go out and we talk to
Good.
sporting clubs and players and coaches and even families and parents who attend games to make sure that we're mimicking the behavior that we want to see.
I better not say anything, being a dad who stands on the football sidelines. I really need to learn to be positive and just keep it down, and stop the sort of perennial old-fashioned dad behaviour of shouting and bawling. You
It's
can imagine.
passion. It's passion, Lauren.
Absolutely. That's my excuse. It's funny because I've got a boy who's 17 and a half. I'm still putting the halves in even at this age. And I kind of think that the kids at his school, to me as a parent, feel kinder than they were when I was at school. But then I'm not I'm not factoring in the whole online thing, which is new. From my day, it's new anyway.
Yeah, and that's so important because what we understand is that, our devices are with us 24/7.
Yeah,
We basically have a line that we use. You've got your bully in your back pocket, really,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you're exposed to predators at any time. So be it through social media platforms, gaming applications, whatever it is that you call it, the generation today are faced with potential predators and bullying
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's absolutely true. So, thinking back to school days, if you were scared of somebody, if somebody didn't like you, you could go home at night and you were safe. That's no longer the case.
Not
Did
at
you
all.
see?
And I think, yeah, that's such a critical message, especially a message that we have for parents. We've got some tips and tricks on, helping parents navigate the safety of their kids whilst at home. And it's also about teaching young people those behaviors, and what to look out for when you are online, how to be safe, what information to give and not give to people you don't know. Yeah.
And do you do one-to-one with kids who are actually having unfortunate experiences with bullying?
We do, and we have a program where we send care packs to kids all across the world, that have some really great resilience tools within them to help them navigate what they're experiencing themselves, how to talk to a trusted adult, how we can then intervene and support them and their family and even their schools.
Yeah, no, it sounds fantastic that kids, and it's not just kids, as you said, I've actually got somebody there to listen to them and to be on their side, I guess, because it can feel, I can imagine it must feel a very lonely place if you're on the wrong end of bullying.
100%. And the risks, if we aren't there to support young people, are great. And they're quite frightening. The statistics are scary. We know that 1 in 4 young people experience bullying, whether it's online or offline. But the statistics when it comes to youth suicide are
Mm.
incredibly high.
Yeah, and I guess that, without getting too involved in that, that can start as you know, an incident of bullying and somebody has got no confidence, feels as if they've got no friends, nobody to listen to them. So it's
Correct,
important
especially
to,
when it's insidious bullying too.
yeah,
Kids can't process, um, bullying and how to navigate bullying when they're under stress.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a whole different world.
Let's having a look at your website. As I said, I see you're in all the different states, territories of Australia. Is that right? So you're in all the sort of population areas.
Yes, we have about 20 facilitators across the country who day in, day out are delivering our programs. So it's awesome to see that we have such a big footprint in Australia and now, an even greater demand globally. So we were recently in Norway, delivering one of our programs to over 900 conference
Oh,
attendees who were really keen to see what we're doing here in Australia. They're fascinated by our work. So it's nice to see that we're actually getting some attention overseas.
yeah, it's good to spread the word because I'm absolutely sure that it's an issue everywhere. So it's
Yeah.
it's not just a local issue.
Yeah.
You, as I said at the start, you very kindly sponsored Brian and myself. Just to tell the viewers how that came about, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it came about by this one, who is your greatest fan. And when we spoke about it, from my perspective, it's about, how do we build more awareness around this issue? And I think that's the platform that you, Lawrence and Brian both have, is that you have that reach with your community. You have that ability to pop that message into the minds of so many people about this particular topic, and
Yeah,
just talking about it for me was the
yeah,
gold.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can tell it's obviously a passion. It's something that you feel you really want to be talking about and spreading the word about. Ben, how did you get involved, sir?
With Billy Zero, obviously bullying is something that happens in day-to-day lives all the time. You just hear people talking about it, and I just kind of wanted to put two and two together. And obviously, last year we sponsored Ben Hughes and then Robbie Much,
Yeah.
and I kind of thought outside the box. And I thought, why not sponsor the two stalwarts behind the camera?
The two
The
Egypts,
people.
two good old Scottish word, the two Egypts behind the camera.
No,
No.
definitely not Egypts.
But Ben,
Um,
I'm detecting a hint of an Aussie accent there now at the Castle Douglas. accent is gradually disappearing?
It's gradually disappeared, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm still a Castle Douglas boy at heart.
It's not the case when he's around his Scottish mates.
Yeah.
At that point, I need a translator. I'm like, huh?
So Brian lives in Lanark, which is in central Scotland. I live in Edinburgh in central Scotland, and I can tell you when we go back to Stranraer, our accent changes as well depending on who you're speaking to. Because if I spoke with a Stranraer accent now, yeah, a lot of the viewers would understand it, but a lot of people in Edinburgh wouldn't, and you guys might struggle. Janet, what about yourself in terms of sport? Are you a sports fan?
I am. So, I grew up with football or soccer as a young kid. My dad was a fan. So I'm an Arsenal supporter. Don't know how to go
Yeah.
down
Oh my
with
goodness. Right, Brian Martin likes Tottenham Hotspur, so I maybe just leave the two of you to have that conversation.
Absolutely love that. And Ben's dragged me to a couple of games, or we've been up at the crack of dawn to watch some of the games. I'm also a huge AFL, so Australian Football League fan. And it's interesting how Ben's made me a cuppa this morning in his AFL team's cup, not my AFL
So
team's cup.
who's your AFL team?
I'm Carlton Football
Carlton.
Club.
Yeah, yeah. My son gets up early in the morning here to watch the AFL, and he tells me that the Geelong Cats are the team to watch. But that's just him.
Well, they did well this year. They were in the grand final
Yeah, and they lost.
and they lost. So shame. But yeah.
And what's the footy or the soccer like in Australia, Ben?
Look, I probably would compare it to maybe the Champions League kind of level.
Yeah,
It's not the best, but it's still entertaining.
yeah,
When I came out here, there was players like Harry Kewell, Emil Heskey,
yeah.
Del Piero was out here, but it's not as entertaining as the Premier League or whatever, but it's still a game of soccer.
I was
And the
going
thing
to
is nowadays, there's a big push for non-league soccer.
yeah.
So, at the end of the day, it's a game of soccer and it's good to watch.
Right, I was going to say, the level that we're watching football at, and it's certainly not the sort of Harry Kewell level as he was back in the day. But to be honest, the game's a game, and you can watch, I don't know, Champions League on a Tuesday night here, and it's a cracking game, or it can be absolutely dreadful, and you're better off watching Albion Rovers against Stranraer. It just depends how the game goes.
That's exactly it.
Janet, just to get on record yet again how much we appreciate the fact that you guys are sponsors. Also appreciate the fact that you've got up. It's only about 6:15. Are you Melbourne area?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we are.
So 6:15 in the morning.
6:15. Light's not out yet.
Yeah, no, it's dark here already. It's 8:15 at night, and we're now heading into the winter. So it's dark here already, and it's getting a bit colder. But no, it's absolutely lovely also to put a face to the name, and we appreciate you coming on. We'll maybe get you on again at some point. But
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for the sponsorship, and
You're
thanks
so
for getting up
welcome.
so
Thank
early. I
you.
hope you've got plenty of coffee there. Thanks for getting up so early to join us. Thanks, Janet and Ben.
Thank you so much, guys. Lovely meeting you.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
Cameron, I don't know if you caught the a lovely wee piece online about which Stranraer player their teammates thought should be on Love Island, and it seemed to be Robbie Foster was sort of heavily backed. It was interesting to see Sal. I think he was suggesting that he should be on it, but weren't thinking about that. I thought that was quite a cool wee thing to do. It got me also thinking about what other programmes Stranraer players could be on. Never mind Love Island. It's not something I watch, I have to say, but I was thinking if we, even if we were invited on a television programme, I know we're on this, but something on the main network, I was thinking Brian Martin could be on Strictly perhaps, or maybe the Masked Singer with his Lollipop Man outfit on. Could figure out, George would need to be in something technical. I don't know if the repair shop would be accurate, but something with using his technical expertise. And Cameron, obviously something a bit more cerebral for you. So I've got, I work my way up. Only Connect, Mastermind, University Challenge, Could you see yourself
Funnily enough,
in these
I was going to say the one it wouldn't be for me would be Mastermind. So
So no, it was quite interesting to watch that, and I thought that was quite a little fun thing to do. And I think it's so important, Brian, that the players. I think we're already getting the vibe that the players are bonding pretty well as a group. But I think these kind of wee fun things and their nights out and stuff that helps. It's got to help.
I must admit, Lawrence, I thought that Love Island, I think James Dolan with a shoe, and I thought that other players would say, "Is James Dolan been modelling or something like that before, isn't it?"
Yeah.
So I thought he was I mean, OGC for Edinburgh City went well, he's now with East Kilbride, but I think he went in Love Island as well, didn't he?
Let's be honest, he's nowhere near as good looking as James Dolan, Brian.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
So that takes us on to Edinburgh City on Saturday. Our return to Meadowbank. We had a great record there. The Aiken brothers came in when we hadn't won an away game for around about, I think, 14 months, give or take. And they promptly won their first game at Edinburgh City last season, Cameron. But we've lost that good record already this season by losing at home in a game that I've scribbled down that I felt we should have taken something. We might have won, but we took absolutely nothing in the end.
yeah, again, it's happened too often this season where we've kind of got our noses in front and then very quickly found ourselves back to square one or going behind. Yeah, as you say, the change in management kind of worked in our favour in terms of not just Edinburgh City, but Spartans as well, in terms of our trips to Edinburgh. But I think it'd be fair to say there's a lot of people that think that Michael McIndoe's doing a really good job at Edinburgh City, and I'm among them.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big ask. Again, it doesn't take mastermind to figure out that if you took the points deduction away from Edinburgh City, they would be nowhere near where they are just now. So they'll see this as a massive game. I'm sure the managers of both sides will say it differently, but obviously where the two teams are in the table, that 3 points for either team psychologically is a bit of a boost.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of what you're saying there, Cameron. It's almost as if there's a theme running through there that things away from the pitch influence it. Like so, Tiff and Ginge come in. It's a fresh start. We get 3 points. Everybody knows that Edinburgh City came down to Stranraer immediately after that points deduction had been announced, and I think that just Michael McIndoe was really able to galvanise his players after that.
It's the coaches and the managers can only do so much Tuesday, Thursday. I think that probably the biggest thing is one of those things that you can't coach. It's about momentum, it's about confidence, and that kind of mentality in the squad as well. That it would have been very easy for Edinburgh City, and I appreciate obviously it's right at the start of the season, but it'd been easy for them to go, we're 15 points behind. Let's try and get a bit of form ahead of the quote unquote inevitable playoff come the end of the season. But equally, you get a good result, you follow that up, and then all of a sudden that momentum's behind you. And even if you do have a blip along the way, you still fancy your chances of every game you go into, you're going to get a result. Or if you go behind, you think back to previous games and you go, we've been in this situation before, there's no reason that we can't turn it around again. And that can make in your own luck, I guess, as much as anything, that you've got that belief that we can go and get out of this situation, which they look as if they could go on to do.
Mm-hmm. Brian, we've talked about Michael McIndoe before. I think he's doing a great job. I know Tiff rates him as well. You've only got to go back to that game when we won there last season. I think both Stranraer and Edinburgh City were down the wrong end of the table, and Michael McIndoe took Edinburgh City up to the top half. So they've got a really, really small squad, but there's something that he just gets right.
They seem to be small at the moment, Lawrence. I noticed Jarvis, Lawson, and Stokes haven't played the last 2 games. Jarvis has been missing for 3 or 4, and he's quite a big player for them. And Lawson and Stokes didn't play Saturday past there. Whether he was resting them, I don't know. But they've missed the last 2 or 3. They're big players. But we're talking about Edinburgh City. They've only got 1 more point at home than Stranraer have. They've never won at home this season in the league. They've drawn 3 and won. They've drawn 3 and lost one. They've won 4 away from home and lost 1 away from home. So you could say they're better away from home. And they've drew with Annan, they drew with East Kilbride, and they drew with Forfar. And they beat Stirling Albion. So, I mean, they've not been pulling up trees at home, but away from home, they've had a fantastic record. They could beat Clyde just recently, they're 2-1, which was their first away defeat of the season. So it's even a more remarkable record. They haven't won at home, but they still took away their 15 points. It's really amazing. But you never know. I think we've got a good chance in Saturday. I honestly do. Especially if these players are missing, they are big players for them. But it's hard to say whether they'll be playing. I think they'd only 2 or 3 in the bench last Saturday when they could beat Ballava. So I don't know. It's quite interesting.
Brian, do we over egg this only 2 or 3 in the bench? Because you and I watched football for years.
Yeah,
there were only 2 subs, and then it was 3, and actually, it didn't stop us winning the second division with 2 subs. It didn't stop any other team winning a league with 2 subs. So, if you get the right group of players, does it really matter that much?
Yeah, I must admit, I like a good strong bench. Because you can't really change a lot if you're losing the game. But if you've only got maybe 2 or 3 subs, but if you've got a good, 5 or 6 to pick from, I always prefer that. Because I think in Aggie's time we were getting into games with 4 and 5 subs, and so, well, who are we going to bring on to change the game? But if you look at Stranraer's bench these days, I think you said it yourself, Lawrence, he can bring players on who can change the game. But I think McIndoe tends to go the whole game nearly without changing. I think if the players are getting tired near the finish up, but he tends to go with the same, unless somebody gets injured, obviously. But as I say, they're still looking for their first home win of the season, and hopefully it doesn't come on Saturday.
Cameron, we continually, you said it a minute or 2 ago, we've got a good result in the cup. We then look to take that into the next league game. Excuse me. So we'll naturally try to be optimistic. And I guess we've just drawn with a League One side. We won at Dumbarton 3 weeks ago. Flying the ointment for me was the home game against Annan. So we're still kind of misfiring, and we just need to get that mixture on the pitch that'll sort of spark things, if you like.
I think, like any statistics, you can kind of work it to whatever way you want it to look. That if we get a result on Saturday, you can almost look at the Annan game and say, yeah, with Storm Amy, it was a bit of a farce. Who knows if it had been kind of a level playing field, as it were. But yeah, equally, if we don't get a result against Edinburgh, then you kind of start looking at it and go, oh, it's 1 win and whatever, etc. And all of a sudden it feels a bit down just in terms of the subs and what we were saying there. I think that one thing that having numbers on the bench as much as anything, that if you make a double change and say you've only got 3 on the bench and one's the sub keeper and then somebody's injured,
yeah,
you very quickly find yourself in a bit of trouble. Either a player has to play through injury, or as much as I would enjoy seeing it, we get the goalkeeper outfield. But yeah, having the numbers, and obviously you want quality as well rather than just quantity, but having people on the bench at least kind of gives you that option that you don't end up having to unnecessarily play a game with 10 men, I guess.
It does, but I'm looking back at the team sheet against Annan, and Annan had 4 outfield players on the bench that day, one of whom was Stevie Bell, who ultimately ended up coming on, but it was enough.
If he hadn't been there, it would have been Greg Fleming having to come on.
Aye, absolutely. And you'd have enjoyed that.
Yes.
Greg Fleming playing right midfield or something. See how he gets on with the crowd on his back.
I wonder where you would play them in that situation. Would you just basically stick them up front and be like, right, just you stay up there, hold the ball up as much as you can, and basically out the way.
Let's keep it at 1-0, or whatever. Yeah. But it's a bit like the first Queen of the South game where the keeper gets sent off. Forgotten his name. Ross Stewart gets sent off. And Brian and I were actually saying, I hope they put Liam Smith in goals, because we're looking for the best striking option for Queens to go and hide in the goals. Brian, what can you tell me about the referee this Saturday at Meadowbank?
Well, it's a young lady called Abby Henry.
Yep.
This is her first SPFL game, which has refereed in the Lowland League. She's an international referee. She's refereed international games. And if I'm right in saying, Lawrence, our last lady referee was Lorraine Watson.
It was the Kelty Hearts Cup game.
Yeah, Lorraine Watson. Yeah,
I can't remember if it was Lorraine or not, but I think you're right.
I think George is not on, but I think he'll back me up in saying we spoke to Lorraine after the game, in the rain, again, after the Kelty game, Kelty and Stranraer, and we were saying, she'd done well, blah blah. And she says, I really liked it. I really enjoyed the game. I think that's the last time we've seen her. I think she gave it up. Quite strange, but aye. By the way, she can't do much worse than some of the gentlemen we've had this season.
Well, I come back to the Romanian man at Hampden on Sunday. He was his awful performance was probably only eclipsed by Scotland's awful performance on the night. Otherwise, I think the referee would be getting a lot more pelters, because it's just the sheer number of times that VAR was actually holding the game up because they thought he'd got something wrong. So anyway, enough of that one. It's not Stranraer. So yeah, we'll look forward to seeing Abby Hendry on Saturday. As you say, I'm sure she'll be every bit as good, if not better, than some of the male referees that we get. And and I know, Brian, that if you're in a rowdy pub, that the person that's most likely to stop a rammy is a barmaid rather than a barman.
That's right. So
the guys just do it with their tilt, basically.
So hopefully she can stop a few rammies. But quite going back to that, Lawrence, Edinburgh City have had the most yellow cards this season. They've had 32 yellow cards. Stranraer's had half of that. Stranraer's only had 16 yellow cards, along with Spartans for the lowest yellow carded team in League Two. We've had 2 red cards, right enough.
Yeah.
But I found that Edinburgh City have got 2 players sitting in 5 bookings, Jack Duncan and Bradley Barrett. And I don't think MacArthur's far away from it either. So, I mean, they've got 2 or 3 players who are just on that suspension. I think it's 6, and you get suspended for a game. So they've got 2 or 3 players who are. I found it quite, what's the word? No strange, but our 2 centre halves have only got a booking each between them. A booking each, which I thought, 2 big centre halves are in the middle of the play, and they've only got a booking each. I find that quite. Yeah.
Especially for a team that bullied Queen of the South off the park on Saturday, it's quite refreshing. Cameron, you were asking the manager after the game on Saturday about injuries, about players that were missing. I'm trying to think who we were talking about that was sitting in front of us in the director's box.
Corey O'Donnell.
Corey O'Donnell, who was on the bench, so he was clearly injured. Who else was there? Evan Dunn was there.
Robbie,
Ronan Hughes.
And Ronan Hughes. And Ronan Hughes, we have seen, so quite funny, somebody was on social media, I think after we lost to Annan, when the gunpowder was getting fired off on social media, like, where's Ronan Hughes? We've never seen him. Ronan Hughes has been certainly every one of the most recent games, and he's done a fair old bit of running. But did you pick up anything from the manager about where we are with these injured players?
I think Corey was almost a kind of precautionary thing, by the sounds of it. Ronan and Evan, we saw running around the pitch before the game. I get the feeling that they're not that far away, barring obviously any hiccups along the way. Robbie's a bit further down the line, unfortunately, in terms of his comeback. I think originally was the chat it would be after the turn of the year, which obviously we're mid-October just now. I've not seen him kind of run around the pitch with Ronan or Evan. Similarly, I think that the chat was that Sean Docherty was to get the results of his scan this week. But again, judging by the kind of the tone, they were hopeful it wasn't as bad as they feared. But we'll see on that one. But again, I wouldn't be expecting Sean to be starting at right back this weekend. Although I suppose to flip that again, as far as I know, Matthew Gillis and Dominic Plank will be back available.
Should be back. Yep, absolutely. On that topic, I'm a bit disappointed. Martin Fellows never took me up on the offer to go out to Italy with the squad just to hold a bag or test the food or something, But anyway, I hope they've all had a good trip. Brian, we'll ask you what we've been in the habit of asking you for a few years now. What would you do team-wise at Edinburgh City? Would you change anything?
I thought you might ask me this, Lawrence.
You're right.
Now I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 7 starters.
I'd go with 11, Brian.
I thought you were going to say 7 changes.
These are the ones who I would start. Obviously, Lane, Rough, Reid, Stewart, Quigg, Dolan, and I think Turay done enough on Saturday to get his place in the team. But I think Tiff's got a big decision to make this week. Is it McKnight or Gillis? You know, McKnight actually played really well against Kai Kennedy.
Yeah.
But would you let a guy who plays for Scotland under 19s, who is a proper defender, you know, would you let him sit on the bench and let a midfielder play it right back? I think Gillis will get the call there, I honestly do, to make up his 4 at the back. Well, we've either got Cole or Ekrapont.
Yeah,
Again,
a big call, if you excuse the pun, either way.
A lot of the fans online are looking for Ekrapont to keep his position. Again, he was fantastic. But Cole, I don't think has done a lot wrong, but
yeah,
a lot of the fans online are wanting Ekrapont to stake a claim in the team and keep in the team on Saturday. That's quite an interesting one to me. Russell or McManus, does he bring the captain back in to play on the right hand side of that? If he plays a 4-1-3-2 again, you might know, I don't know. Does he play Russell or McManus, you know, on that right hand side? You know, the captain was dropped to the bench on Saturday. Does he bring him back in and plays him McManus? And the final one, is it Lang or Edgar up top with Turay? I think that's another one for him. I think, I don't know, Edgar did okay on Saturday. Lang come on did okay, so I think that's another toss-up. So I think he's got a lot of big decisions. And you know what? Seeing Saturday night, if he gets it, if we get beat, he'll say, "Why did he not play him?"
Yeah, he can't win. Yeah,
Jeff, can he win this weekend? But I think
he can. He can if we win. Yes. He wins. So
yeah, he can win. But I think he's got some big decisions this weekend.
Yeah. Cameron, has Brian got that right in terms of the key choices? Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Bang on. To be honest, that I think Kirk McKnight could feel very, very harshly done by if he's dropped to the bench, because I thought both the Annan game and on Saturday I thought he played really, really well. Obviously we've said about Liam Smith and Kai Kennedy being kind of the most prominent attacking threats for Queens, and he kind of kept Kai Kennedy quiet by and large. Similarly, as you said, Finn, not a great deal between him and Cole in terms of who's getting that one. And yeah, just going forward. I guess that's why the manager gets paid the quote unquote big bucks at the end of the day.
Money, yeah.
It would be, yeah. Obviously, if we come away with 3 points, he's got the decisions spot on. If we don't come away with anything, the way with social media, etc., I'm sure there'll be posts up at 1 minute past full time questioning certain decisions. It's just one of those things. But yeah, again, it's a good decision. It's a good problem to have. I would much rather that than you're looking going, who are we playing at right back this week? Who are we playing at left back? So yeah, there's decisions to be made. I guess the age old thing of the player that's got the shirt, it's theirs to lose. Have any of the players that came in on Saturday done enough to lose the shirt? Time will tell.
Yeah. So there we go. It's all in the hands of the gaffer, Chris Aiken. He's got choices to make ahead of Saturday, and if he gets it right, we could be in for a Gilet good day.
Needs to lift it back in.
Oh, must be.
And it's in! It's a goal for Stranraer!
Points, Lawrence.
And some of the crowd are on the pitch.
Stranraer won the points.
93rd minute of the game.
We've got a minor pitch invasion.